Let's get to the news. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the San Francisco 49ers last night to win the Super Bowl. And for those of you wondering, Travis Kelce had 9 catches for 93 yards and 1 tackle. After the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl last night, Hillary Clinton tweeted, quote, "Congratulations to Taylor's boyfriend." Oh, Mom! You're embarrassing me! Don't you have some candy to crush? Super PAC supporting independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. aired a commercial last night during the Super Bowl. So did his opponent, Pfizer. President Biden spent the weekend at his home in Newcastle, Delaware, while Trump spent the weekend at his home in Ugly Castle, Florida. In his report released last week, special counsel Robert Hur declined to prosecute President Biden for his handling of classified documents and said that a jury could be sympathetic to Biden. Of course they would. He's adorable. They take one look at him and say, we can't prosecute this man. His friend in the balcony would be so lonely. After special counsel Robert Hur questioned President Biden's cognitive abilities last week, Biden defended his mental acuity and mistakenly referred to the leader of Egypt as the president of Mexico, which, okay, bad timing. But do we really think this guy knows who the president of Egypt is? The Sphinx? I'm just kidding. He wouldn't know that's called the Sphinx. You know, guy face, lion body. Not handsome. At a campaign stop yesterday, presidential candidate Nikki Haley claimed that President Biden will not be the Democratic nominee in 30 days. Take it from her, the woman who will not be the Republican nominee in 30 days. During a campaign rally over the weekend in South Carolina, former President Trump said he would encourage Russia to attack NATO countries who did not meet financial obligations, though usually when people don't pay their bills, Russia helps them get elected. The Biden campaign last night posted its first TikTok. If you want to check it out, it's on your For Nobody page. Disney recently unveiled a new line of wedding dresses inspired by its famous villains, including Ursula, Jafar, and the Evil Queen. It's the perfect way to tell your husband-to-be, you can still back out. Singer Pink's concert in Australia over the weekend was temporarily paused after a woman in the crowd reportedly went into labor, and Usher's halftime show had to be paused when thousands of women got pregnant. Finally, health officials in Oregon announced last night that a resident has been diagnosed with the plague. Even worse, this is how they found out. All right. If there's someone young in your row, you know, explain it at the commercial break. President Biden called on Congress today to pass the Senate's bipartisan foreign aid bill and said, quote, "The rest of the world looks to us. Unfortunately, they look at us the same way Ice Spice looks at the Super Bowl." According to the latest numbers, Sunday night's Super Bowl surpassed the moon landing to become the most watched U.S. broadcast of all time. And it can't be a coincidence that the 2 biggest broadcasts of all time were faked by the CIA. That's right, 123.4 million people watched the Super Bowl, making it the most watched television broadcast ever. Yet another successful boycott by Trump supporters. According to a new report, President Biden has become increasingly frustrated with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and referred to him in private meetings as, quote, "this guy." Ooh, that can't be good. This guy is how you refer to your ex's new husband. This guy thinks he can tell me how to raise my kids? Oh, is tonight the night with a bunch of ex-husbands? It's ex-husband night? Oh, my goodness. Presidential candidate Nikki Haley told reporters yesterday that when former President Trump goes off his teleprompter, that's him speaking from the heart. Or more likely, he just spotted a long word coming up. Toilets, they don't flush anymore. Am I right, folks? In a statement released yesterday, former President Trump suggested new leaders to the Republican National Committee and said, quote, every penny will be used properly. No promises, though, for nickels and higher. In the same statement, former President Trump said his daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, should be the co-chair of the RNC and that her husband, Eric, should be ambassador to wherever is farthest. Tomorrow is Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, all that Walgreens has left is to my daughter's hot friend. Elton John is auctioning off hundreds of items from his Atlanta home, which include artwork, a pinball machine, and a grand piano. And that was all just one outfit. Researchers at an aquarium in North Carolina have reported that a female stingray is pregnant despite being in a tank without any male stingrays. It's the biggest miracle at the aquarium since the Sturgeon Mary. Judge me. It's the best joke you're gonna hear this week, and it's only Tuesday! Yeah, I don't love the drawing. A couple in Minnesota recently discovered decades-old love letters hidden behind a bathroom wall while remodeling their home, and they tell the story of a passionate love that went unrequited because somebody didn't know how to mail a letter. I guess I just put it in this vent. And finally, authorities in California recently arrested the owner of a donut shop who allegedly sold illegal narcotics from the store. I mean, come on, you didn't think America really ran on Dunkin', did you? Today was Valentine's Day, so I know what I'm getting tonight. 8 hours of sleep. Vice President Kamala Harris left today for Germany. Well, that's not a very romantic spot for Valentine's Day. All their candy hearts just say, we enter the world alone, we leave the world alone. The Biden campaign is reportedly planning to increase efforts this month to reach black voters. All right, step one, quit hanging out in Delaware. The House last night impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas by just one vote. But the weird part about this story is that it all came down to shrewd political calculus involving who was or wasn't in the hospital and or temporarily bedridden. Lest we forget, during the first vote, Democratic Representative Al Green busted out of the hospital, still wearing his gown and tan socks to cast the decisive vote. And then in last night's vote, Republican Representative Steve Scalise was back from his hospital treatment, but Democratic Representative Judy Chu was quarantining due to COVID, eliminating a possible tiebreaker vote. The House of Representatives has so much medical-themed drama, they've decided to shorten their name to just House. Former President Trump is set tomorrow to attend a hearing in his criminal trial over hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. That's how many criminal trials he's currently involved in. We forgot about the one with a porn star in it. Like, oh, yeah. Former Democratic Representative Tom Suozzi won the special election yesterday to replace disgraced former Congressman George Santos. So good luck, Tom. You have some stolen shoes to fill. Authorities in New Mexico recently arrested a burglar who allegedly broke into a home and made himself ramen noodles and hot chocolate before he was caught. And hopefully authorities will check in on that homeowner, too. You need some help with groceries, bro? Rudy Giuliani is set to release a new book this year titled The Biden Crime Family, The Blueprint for Their Prosecution, and every copy comes with a huge ball of red yarn. That's right, Rudy Giuliani is set to release a new book later this year titled The Biden Crime Family, The Blueprint for Their Prosecution, which will hopefully do better than his last book, I Married My Cousin and So Can You. President Biden's allies are reportedly upset with the New York Times after a recent string of negative headlines and stories. Well, it has gotten pretty bad. Even the Connections is coming after him. Shout out to Connections. In a post to Truth Social yesterday, former President Trump criticized President Biden for his recent comments supporting NATO and said, quote, "Could someone please inform our uninformable president that NATO has to pay their bills?" Trump is telling people to pay their bills. This guy owes more money than Howard Ratner. His picture is hanging up in the UN with "Do not accept checks." Uncut Gems ref. While speaking last night at a rally for former President Trump, Republican Senator Tim Scott said that he told his fiancée that despite it being Valentine's Day, he had to introduce Trump because it was a, quote, chance to introduce the next president of the United States, and she just couldn't stay mad at him because she's not real. In a campaign email sent yesterday on Valentine's Day, former President Trump wrote, quote, "This is a Valentine's Day letter from Donald J. Trump. Ooh, you old honey dripper." Nothing says "I'm your Valentine" like including your middle initial. I think you might be confusing a Valentine's Day letter with a loan application. When asked yesterday about New York Democrats flipping a congressional seat in this week's special election, House Speaker Mike Johnson criticized Representative-elect Tom Suozzi and accused him of campaigning, quote, "like a Republican," though it says something that was the meanest insult he could come up with. The guy's a real Republican. Aren't you a Republican? Former President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, said this week that Trump's current team is, quote, "maybe the best he's had." All right, but that's a pretty low bar. It's the best team he's ever had. Not a single one of them wears an ankle monitor. In a new interview, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that he would prefer that President Biden win the 2024 election. Oh, man, that's gotta hurt. Well, at least you still have the undying love of your eldest son. Oh, no! And finally, the House Ethics Committee has reportedly obtained text messages that Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz sent in 2017 to a woman asking her to join him on a 3-day trip. It didn't work out, though, because Venmo payments have a $5,000 limit. And that was a monologue, everybody.